Huddle away, gentlemen. Keep those diamond hands, keep them shining. Look who I've got for you guys right here on cryptobanter.com. I've got the man himself, the man in the tweet, the man who bought Bitcoin at below $100. And this is, of course, Isaac Miller. Isaac, welcome to cryptobanter.com, my friend.
Hi, Ran. Thanks for having me. This is awesome.
You got into Bitcoin so early, my friend.
You know, I didn't feel like it was that early at the time. You know, I mean, I watched it. I think I started watching it when it was around $10. And then I was like, man, I really need to get into this before it reaches 100. And the day that I recorded that video was the day that it reached 100. And I was just ecstatic. I couldn't believe that it was actually true.
So wait, when did you start buying Bitcoin? How much was Bitcoin when you started buying it?
Yeah, I got my first Bitcoin, I think it was around $80. So, I mean, I waited, you know, I was watching and I was like, oh man, I really need to get some. But it was a lot harder to get Bitcoin at the time. There wasn't a lot of options.
So where did you get Bitcoin at the time? I mean, I know you could mine Bitcoin at the time and it was much easier to mine Bitcoin back in the day. How did you get your Bitcoin?
Well, so the biggest exchange was MTGOX, obviously, at the time. And everybody watched MTGOX. Everybody was involved with MTGOX. But recently, after that MTGOX became so popular, Coinbase actually started. And, you know, people don't realize that Coinbase has been in this space that long. So I actually bought my first Bitcoin from Coinbase.
You bought your first Bitcoin from Coinbase.
Yeah.
And you've been hodling ever since, and you've been buying and you've been adding more Bitcoin because you really believe in this whole thing.
Oh, absolutely. You know, and it's one of those things where it's just, I looked at it as the future. Like, this is the new technology, the new way that the world is headed. And I just got to get on board now and just hold on to it. And so far, that's been the case. And I can see that continuing up to 100,000 per Bitcoin or more.
Well, you've held it since $100. I mean, what's the problem holding it just a little bit longer, little bit longer?
Why not? And luckily, I've got a good job. You know, I make websites for a living. I run e-commerce stores, and my job right now is just to try to gather as much fiat as possible so I can move it over into Bitcoin. Like, that's the plan. I'm mining fiat.
Okay, so tell me the truth. When you first bought Bitcoin, what was your thesis when you bought Bitcoin? Surely you didn't think that, you know, the US dollar is being devalued and the Fed's printing dollars like it's coming out of fashion. What makes someone in 2013 say, you know what, I'm actually going to take some money and I'm going to put it aside and put money into Bitcoin?
You know, believe it or not, it was for some of the reasons that you just mentioned. The Federal Reserve continuously printing money and not actually being transparent to the American people. You know, the Fed has never been audited. We have no idea what they do. I was a libertarian activist, and at the time, like 2008, I was working as the county coordinator for Ron Paul's presidential campaign. And a lot of the people in the circles I was in, they were very much against the Federal Reserve. They were for a gold standard. And we did a lot of study on that. And then when I saw Bitcoin, I didn't quite understand it at first. But when I looked into the technology, and I had a couple of friends of mine who were into cybersecurity, and they were coders, and they said, it's like poetry. If you look at the Bitcoin code, it's so simple and it just works 100%. And I looked into it and I'm like, wait a second, this is digital gold. And nobody knows that it's gold yet. And I thought, well, I should buy as much as I can, because at this point, that this is a way that we have of actually fighting against the tyrannical system and actually transferring wealth back into the hands of the people.
Man, I've got to just show your excitement levels when Bitcoin was going over $100. Guys, watch this.
Watching history be made. Bitcoin is now up to $111. It's an all-time high. 189 Bitcoin for $111.
Okay, so that was the excitement when Bitcoin went over $100, and it went over for the first time, and it went to $111. Do you still get that excited? Like when Bitcoin went to $50,000, did you sit in front of the screen again and say, Bitcoin just went to $50,000?
Yes, absolutely. Every single time Bitcoin breaks a new milestone, I feel like I'm a part of it, you know? So I get super excited. The day that I posted that video, the 2013 video, Bitcoin had actually broke it broke a $1 trillion market cap. So I just couldn't believe that. I went from watching $100 per Bitcoin to breaking $1 trillion market cap.
Okay, so the cheapest Bitcoin you've ever bought, you said, was around $80.
Yeah.
What's the most expensive Bitcoin you've ever bought?
Good question. I bought Bitcoin at 46,000 just like last week. I buy Bitcoin every single week.
That is absolutely incredible. I mean, I must say, to get you on the show after all of that, and I've noticed now that this tweet by documenting Bitcoin has actually become an NFT, and people can go and buy this NFT at OpenSea. So people can actually go and buy this NFT of the tweet where you watch Bitcoin going to $100 or over $100. You can now buy it as an NFT. Did you know this was happening?
Crazy. It's just so crazy. It's like the whole NFT space just opened up now. Non-fungible tokens, come on. You go from having Bitcoin where we have to be convinced that, all right, all Bitcoin are the same. You can actually trade them between each other. Now it's just like, oh, we don't care. We understand crypto technology so well that we can put anything on the blockchain now. It's so
interesting. One of the best qualities of Bitcoin was the fact that it was fungible. That was one of the reasons Bitcoin works, is because Bitcoin is fungible. And now the big hype is all around non-fungible tokens. Yeah. Are you a DeFi? Are you a DeFi man? Are you an NFT man? Or are you a Bitcoin maximalist through and through?
Sure. I actually just minted my first NFT last week just to dabble in the space. Because, I'm not necessarily looking to become a major collector right now, but I like the technology and I like the potential. So, I own a crypto kitty, and then I've got my own NFT that I minted on what website? I used Rarible. It's just so cool. It's so simple now to do a lot of this stuff. I mean, working with the blockchain in the past was such a pain, back when you didn't even have decent wallets. Like, I actually had to sync Bitcoin's blockchain to my laptop when I first bought my Bitcoin to transfer to my computer. Things like that. I mean, it's just incredibly different now. But yeah, I'm definitely into DeFi. Like, my last huge buy was I just bought a bunch of Uniswap at $2.
Wow. Okay. That is amazing. I mean, so you're in the DeFi space, you're a Bitcoin holder. Tell me a little bit about how it was buying and storing Bitcoin in 2013. Most of the viewers on the show have come into the space where you've got Coinbase, you've got software wallets. You don't even need to plug in a hardware wallet these days anymore, and you're relatively secure. So how was it in 2013? Like, if you wanted to store 100 Bitcoins or 1,000 Bitcoins at the time, how would you store it?
It's just crazy. A lot of people up before 2013, they would literally just download the Bitcoin QT wallet. Like, they'd actually run it on their laptops. I mean, it's just kind of crazy to think about. Most people would never sync Bitcoin's blockchain to their MacBook. But back then, people were doing that. So you could store it on your computer. But like, a lot of people were just keeping it on exchanges. And with MTGOX, so many people lost their funds entirely. I mean, it taught one of the fundamental rules of crypto hodling is that, not your keys, not your crypto.
Did you lose coins on Mt. Gox?
I did not. Luckily, I did not keep any of my coins there.
Wow, that is such an amazing story. One more question before I let you go, and that is, in the days of like 2013, 2012, if you wanted to buy, say, 10,000 Bitcoin, 2,000 Bitcoin, or 5,000 Bitcoin, could you get your hands onto those kind of quantities? Like, or was it difficult? Because there were much less Bitcoin in circulation. I mean, in 2013, there couldn't have been more than a certain amount of Bitcoin in circulation. So what kind of numbers were you guys buying?
That's really interesting. With MTGOX, it wasn't uncommon to see 1,000 Bitcoin just go in a transaction. Like, it was not uncommon. And I think people were trading in, hundreds of Bitcoin a lot of the time. And it was just really interesting. Like, in my video, I'm actually watching a website called bitcoinity.org. And I was so happy I found out it's still online. You can actually go to bitcoinity.org and you can actually view the charts there, and you can actually see the chunks of Bitcoin going. So it's funny, not much has changed a little bit, except, people are sending a lot smaller quantities now.
A lot smaller quantities in terms of the number of Bitcoin, but in terms of the value of Bitcoin, I mean,
this is ridiculous.
Has exploded. Listen, Isaac, we are big fans, and I hope that some of our community actually go to OpenSea and pitch and buy or bid for your NFT, because I think you've become a legend. I mean, you want to talk about an OG in the space. For me, you're the definition of an OG in the space. Thank you for coming on CryptoBanter.com, my friend. We are big supporters.
Well, thanks, Crypto Man Ran. If anybody wants to check out my stuff, I'm Isaac Miller on Twitter, so ISAAC Miller on Twitter. So
Neil,
check me out.
Fred, post Isaac's socials in the chat so that everybody out there can go and see Isaac and meet the man. Man, you're a legend. You're an OG. I love this clip. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me on today, and have a great day.
Thank you, my friend.
Watching history be made. Bitcoin is now up to $111. It's an all-time high. 189 Bitcoin for $111.